I'll call the meeting to order. Take roll, please. We have our 7 quorum tonight, so thank you for making it. So turn it over to staff for announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Items number 28 and 36 have been withdrawn. We do have revised reports for you for items 29 and 35. We also have the placement of an attachment 31-3 due to a printing error is also in front of you. We also have the revised resolution for item number 38 that incorporates the recent Highway Commission vote on the item. And the last thing is I would like to introduce Michael Scott, who is up on the podium with us. Michael has worked in the engineering department for 19 years, and he will be taking over Williams' place. So welcome, Michael. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Good deal. Thank you. Welcome, Michael. Glad to have you here. Mike, you got anything?
I don't, no, sir.
Okay. At this point, we didn't have anybody sign up for public comment, right? Okay. So no public comments at this point. So moving on, consideration of the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have any questions or comments on those? Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to consideration of the consent agenda. I believe, Ms. Baltry, did you want to remove a couple items?
Item 3 and 4.
Item 3 and 4, so we're going to remove that. Are there any other items that we would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, we don't read it anymore. Do I have a motion on the consent, or do I have any discussion on consent agenda? Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the consent agenda say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. So consideration of item number 3 for Arrington Ridge, Section 1, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control located off Cox Road. So, Ms. Baltry.
So I had a couple of questions about it. I'm sorry, can we read the staff report in the record first?
Okay.
Or at least talk about what it is?
Yeah, on item 3, staff visited the site and noted that some improvements have been made. Staff recommends that this bond be extended in the current amount for a period of 1 year in the amount of $250,000.
Good deal. Thank you. So,
Okay, so I've gotten a few calls from Section 1 from the residents out there regarding, just asking me questions about the drainage. They said it doesn't look great. I don't really know what's going on out there, so I have questions about what is going on out there. Also about, I think our landscape, the bond was released, and I guess a lot of the trees and plants have died out there. So I'm assuming that after we've released it, it's really just it takes over by the HOA. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any way to find out, like, our regulations, like what we required them to put in, that I could get a copy of, or?
We have the approved landscaping plan. We can provide you with a copy of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
So as far as the drainage is concerned, I know we're going to extend the bond, but, so we're still regularly checking on Section 1 out there, even though it looks like most of it's completed.
Yeah, we're still watching that, and the only specific complaint we're aware of is a detention pond that's not draining, and is that in Section 1? Or?
It is, and I have met with several people out there, including a representative from the HOA, the developer, the contractor, on a couple of occasions since Williams either was with me or since he's left. And there are some issues with, there's a pond that needs some drainage to be addressed, and it's got some wet weather springs that appear to be popping up, and it's not maintainable. They are aware of that, and they're all aware of other drainage issues. And so I'm going to, check the punch list again that William had done and amend it or edit it or just see how if they've addressed it, and then, we're gonna go from there. But they are aware of some issues out there. So if there's anything specific, feel free to let me know, and I will
Okay.
look at that. But we are looking at the section as a whole.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Good deal. Thank you.
And we can move on from item 4, because it was kind of all the same thing.
Well, so
Okay.
to take action on 3 and 4
Okay.
Okay.
separately, since you pulled them.
Pull them, or take it separately?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So item number 3, or any further discussion? Do we have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second for item 3. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Robin said that item 4 is ready to go, so item 4, is there any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, can we have the staff read the staff recommendation?
All right, well, so Arrington Ridge, Section 1, maintenance bond for wastewater collection system located off Cox Road. So staff,
This bond has satisfied the requisite 2-year maintenance period. Therefore, staff recommends releasing the bond.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item is item 28, which was withdrawn. Moving on to item 29, preliminary plat for Kings Chapel subdivision, Phase 15, containing 22 lots on 76.62 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
The applicant is requesting deferral until the May 2024 meeting.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion for deferral and second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Moving on to public hearing now. And so for item number 30, we did not have anybody sign up for item number 30. Amendment to Article 11 of the zoning ordinance regarding setbacks for athletic facilities. So staff,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in February of this year, the zoning ordinance was amended to create a new use classification for athletic facilities. The amendment established the basic, the basic standards for this use, including the minimum lot size, building size, setback requirements for the use itself. During the county commission deliberations, one of the commissioners asked us to specifically look at the 200-foot setback that was established for all uses, so that includes residential uses and non-residential uses from the use, to see if we could reduce it. And after staff looking at it, we did determine that it was appropriate for the use to have a smaller setback when it abuts non-residential uses only. On your screens, you'll see how the amendment currently reads and how we propose it to read, where when it, particularly number B2, where it abuts all other use classifications outside of residential uses, these uses would have a 200-foot setback from all of the existing roadways, and then the setback requirements for the specific zoning district outlined in Article 10. Generally, the setback is 50 feet is typically what it is. So, but the setbacks from all residential uses will remain the same. We do recommend that you approve the text amendment as we presented it, and also send the attached resolution to the county commission for adoption.
thank you. So, yeah, go ahead. Yes, sir.
I'd just like a clarification on, it says that it's on non-residential. Does that, explain how that will work if it's an open space and then that open space becomes a residential subdivision? Are you gonna limit them to their distance from the property line?
Yes, we will. So if the property is currently vacant, it will take a 200-foot setback. We would apply the 200-foot residential setback on it. So only if there's an existing non-residential use on the property, such as a church, a school, or something such as that, would we apply the setbacks from Article 10 to the use.
Well, if it's a non-residential across the property line, you're gonna put the burden of setback on that property owner because of the lack of the county not buying enough property to do the setbacks?
So this would not apply to a county-owned facility. It's a private athletic facility. So not a county-owned.
Not a county
Not a
school or
county-owned.
something, but it's still gonna be the same principle, isn't it?
So the setback will only apply to the athletic use, the athletic facility use, not the adjoining property holder.
Yeah, I know, but my question is, if you're gonna require it on a non-residential, when it becomes a residential and that property line, you're not gonna allow a house within 50 feet of that property line because you're gonna require them to be 200 feet, aren't you?
No, so you're talking about, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. You're talking about on the adjoining property.
Correct.
No, they will not have that 200-foot setback. They would be entitled to the setback requirement of Article 10. So 50 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet, yes. So it
Okay.
will not apply to the adjoining property, taking the 200-foot setback.
That's what I wanted to know.
Any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Cronin.
If the adjoining property has a store on it or a fast food place or something like that, they can be within 50 feet of the facility?
Depending on what the minimum setback for the zoning district is. If it's 10 feet, then it would be allowed to go to 10 feet. If it's 25 feet, it would be allowed to go to 25 feet. Now, there are buffers that may widen the setback, but this athletic facility would be entitled to those smaller setbacks against the store or the fast food place, what have you.
Okay, well, my thoughts on this is I agree with lessening it, but I think the 50-foot is not enough.
The setback would be, so the setback could be 50 feet, it could be 25 feet, just depends upon the zoning district. So,
I could see them cutting it down to 100 foot or something like that, but 10, 15 feet, I think that's a little much.
Any further discussion? Do I have a motion on item 30?
Motion to accept staff recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on item 30. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No?
One opposed, motion passes. Moving on to item number 31, concept plan review for Kings Chapel subdivision revised containing 449 lots on 615.28 acres located off of Mullins Road in the 5th voting district. So staff?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so that we can orient ourselves, property is located on Murfreesboro Road. To the west is to Franklin, and to the east is to Murfreesboro. This is Majestic Meadows Drive here that enters the subdivision from the west, coming from from the Franklin to the east. Revised concept plan for this use was approved in September of 2023. The revision proposed 2 connections to the adjoining High Park Hill development. Staff concluded that there should not be 2 connections between the 2 developments, and staff recommended that a single gated connection restricted to emergency vehicles and utility service providers be located in High Park Hill. Here on the screen, you can see Florin Drive, which comes out of High Park Hill in the green. And that's where, on the High Park Hill side, this emergency gate was to go. This was added as a condition of approval. The applicant is now requesting approval of a new concept plan to relocate the entry gate, which is approximately in this location on your screen, and he wishes to move it to the northeast, just above Florin Drive, as you can see on the screen where it is and where he would like it to be. So this would provide a this would provide a vehicular access between the two. So as we as the staff reviewed this, the applicant's intentions are unclear in terms of the connectivity between the two developments, and we wanted to ensure that the Planning Commission's intentions for their original approval was still in place. So we recommend two things. Staff does recommend holding the public hearing as it's been advertised, but deferring action on this item until the May 2024 meeting.
Thank you, sir. Does the applicant want to speak at this point? Please state your name, please.
My name is John Powell, with the developer of Kings Chapel and the 78 last lots in High Park Hill. We wanted to move the existing gate of Kings Chapel at the September meeting. We had opposition to having two gates, one for Kings Chapel, then one into High Park Hill. So this, actually at that meeting, somebody in the opposition said, why don't they move the road over through a drip field? And that would get it outside the Kings Chapel gate. And unfortunately, that road was going to go through drip field land, so we couldn't do it, sewer land. So, when we went back to the office and we started talking about things, we felt that even though we had spent considerable amount of money putting the gate where it is, we felt that moving it to the east would permanently separate the two subdivisions. So if you come down that drive, if you're going to Kings Chapel, you just go straight through the Kings Chapel gate. If you would go up to High Park Hill, you would go up that way. The reason we wanted a second entrance over there to begin with is the lots in the back, approximately 130 acres of them are 5 acre, one house to 5 acres. It's already 5. Some of the property I still own that we didn't use in Kings Chapel is already 1. So it's both up there, but they're going to be at a much higher price point than any of the houses that exist in Kings Chapel right now or High Park Hill. So we felt that they needed their own gate system. Additionally, we didn't feel it was appropriate to add all the extra traffic up through the existing High Park Hill, as those houses are on smaller lots and very congested. The emergency vehicles, so the new residents of the 78 lots, the higher price point, won't have to go through the congestion to get there. They can cut in and go in that second gate. Another reason we had was for emergency vehicles. Right now, to get up into those 78 lots, which go way far to the northeast, they would have to come through the Kings Chapel gate where it is, then go through an emergency gate. This way, emergency vehicles could just come in, either go straight into Kings Chapel or straight up into High Park Hill, the last 78 lots. So we talked with our HOA board about it, and they are all homeowners of Kings Chapel, and I didn't pick them. They came and they wanted to join. They wanted to become board members, and I felt it was a good idea because we're going to transition the board out sometime, maybe next year when more people move in. So they thought it was a good idea, and it solved the problem of having a gate within a gate to a separate subdivision. So it would cost a lot of money to move that gate, but I said I wanted to do it to permanently separate the subdivisions. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I can open it up. Any questions from planning commissioners? We can, yeah. Any other comment?
Yes. The next item is basically the same thing. It's the High Park Hill moving the gate from an
Right.
emergency
Yeah.
gate. But there is one other change in High Park Hill. We changed a connecting road.
Can we
Okay.
chat on that
Yeah,
next?
sure.
Yeah, let's not
Okay.
complicate it.
All right.
Because we have two separate public hearings. So at this point, I will open it up to the public hearing. We have 3 people who have signed up for the public hearing, and each person will get a max of 3 minutes. And I do ask that you state your name and your county of residence, and when you step up to the counter. And so the first one is Warren Gardner.
I'm Warren Gardner, Williamson County. I actually live in Kings Chapel. I've lived there for 3 years. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you this evening. I'll keep it as brief as I possibly can. The concern is additional traffic coming in from High Park Hill onto Kings Chapel. When I bought into Kings Chapel, which is a lovely development, the expectation was and still is that it's a gated community. As it currently stands, we have people coming in from High Park Hill, and it's my understanding, and based upon what's been printed, that access to Kings Chapel will be sustained, will again be sustained, regardless of how these new gates are being placed. I don't think that's right, but anyway, I just live there. That's my opinion. And I'll close by saying that's all for the evening. I hope you give appropriate attention to all these changes and what they mean. One last thing. I can't speak for the future of High Park Hill because I can only see what's going on right now, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you, anyway.
Thank you. Moving on to the second, it's Mary Leonard. Marty, excuse me. There's a small T in there.
Good evening, I'm Marty Leonard. I live in Kings Chapel. I moved in November of last year after living in Franklin. Trying to get out of Franklin with all the traffic and all the growth and congestion there to get out to an area that I didn't think would have that. My big concern is that where the traffic from High Park Hill if that is not kept as an emergency exit only or entrance only, that we would have probably 150 to 200 cars coming onto that now road off of 96. And I think when you took the number of houses that are in Kings Chapel and you say there's 2.5 cars per house, you'll see that those roads are already pretty congested. And right now, to even get out on 96, you got to stop. Somebody's got to let you out. It's not like in the morning and night, they have to let you out or you're not going to get out. And I think if you let all the people from High Park Hill come down on that road, it's going to be, you're going to have 400, 500 cars there coming down there and using that. So I don't mind if it stays, but I think that the gate for Kings Chapel ought to stay where it is. High Park Hill, if we need it for safety concerns, I'm all for that. And if it's just a road that's going to let the emergency vehicles in and that's it, I'm good with that. But I don't think you should open up and let residents be coming in and out of there all the time because the congestion is going to be terrible. And I might as well live in Franklin again. So, I just want your consideration on not doing that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And last is Jay Russ.
How y'all doing today? My name is Jay Russ. I'm a resident of Williamson County. I live in Kings Chapel. I'm also on the board as well as part of the development company. Just want to say a couple of things on behalf of this to let you know what we've done and how we've done it. We sent a letter out in March to get ahead of it and let everybody know what was going on in the subdivision. And at that time, we didn't have anybody that responded back to us about what was going on or the concerns. On Tuesday, there was a Facebook post that went out on a private Facebook page owned by a homeowner that had a different information that wasn't correct information, or it said things that weren't accurate to what is happening. On Wednesday morning, after all day Tuesday and working with the board and development company, the board and the development company sent out an email Wednesday morning to let everybody know and to dissect that post and answer all their questions. In that email, we also said that if you have any questions, please contact us. We'll answer them immediately. We'll call you. We'll come by. And yesterday, we spent the day, we were on the phone with several people that had questions, not just about this, but other things. We took care of that. We talked to people at the gatehouse. So we answered those questions to the homeowners. And I will say this, one of the good things about having an email, we also posted on the Kings Chapel Facebook, so everybody, it would not only be on the email, but on the Kings Chapel Facebook as well. But we had responses back from homeowners, again, saying thank you for what you do for Kings Chapel. Like one of the gentlemen just said, it's a nice neighborhood, and always having the best interests of Kings Chapel at heart and things of that nature. So we had good responses to that. We had other people that had questions, and we answered those questions to the best of our ability, and to make sure that if they had concerns. One of the things that was just brought up was about traffic, and I would like to say this. Originally, and you all know because we talked about this, those 78 homes were originally supposed to be part of Kings Chapel down the road, and there was always, that traffic was always going to come that way, and that's the way it was. Even when people bought in at our front gatehouse, it has a picture, and it says future homes, and on our HOA docs, it had that, but we couldn't do that because of some regulations that we couldn't do. But it's always been there when people bought that those houses were going to be there, and that traffic was going to come out. One of the things, I live there, I go back and forth on that road daily. The traffic that he was talking about is not the traffic on our road, it's the traffic on 96. You have traffic on 96, people have to wait for people, people have to get in and out. So whether that traffic is on
30 seconds.
Okay, whether that traffic is on our road or whether it's coming down Kings Chapel, they're still gonna have to wait to get out on 96. That's where the issue is like you said, you have to wait on 96 to get out. But those whether they come out on whichever road, it's still gonna have the same thing. So just wanna let you know about that. So, but as always, we always have the best interest of Kings Chapel at heart. And like John said, the board has also approved all of this. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, nobody else has signed up, so I'll close the public hearing on that.
You sign up?
Hmm?
You sign up right now after everything is referred?
No, sir, you had to sign up prior to the meeting. Thank you.
See anything about Hyde Park Hill?
We can't take comments. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Moving on to item number 31. At this point, any county, planning commission, anybody else from the county need to say anything or developer at this point? Before I open it up for conversation. No, we're still on Kings Chapel.
I would like to point something out. The hundreds of cars he's talking about, if you see this Kings Chapel was, and the second entrance was designed so that the people on the northern side of Kings Chapel, you see that waterway going through there, most of those people exit, if they're going to Franklin, they would exit to the second entrance and go to Franklin. If they're going to Murfreesboro, they come down to the main gate. The people on the southern side, which is a couple hundred lots, they always go out the main gate. So the traffic on that other road is very minimal. Matter of fact, I've never had, when I go out that way, I've never had anyone in front of me. And when I come in that way, I've never had anyone in front of me. So the hundreds of cars I was discussing is just not gonna not gonna be that way. The other thing that, these separation of these gates, oh, the only way a person from Hyde Park Hill can get into King's Chapel is if they are given a code. Oh, I'm sorry. The only way people from Hyde Park Hill can get into King's Chapel is if they're given a code. When we move this gate to the, behind the gate for Hyde Park Hill, we are going to take out the key punch pad. That means all guests or residents or vendors, construction people, guests of homeowners that live in King's Chapel will have to go through the main gate. So we aren't aware of anyone from Hyde Park Hill traveling through the gates unless someone, a resident, has given them a code. That gate will be heavily restricted to just clickers and barcodes when it's moved.
Thank you. So do I have any questions, Ms. Baldry?
I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of unclear why the developer wants to move the gate, and sort of, because at our last meeting in September, the access into Hyde Park Hills was strictly emergency only. So it kind of sounds like he wants to move the gate up and maybe open that emergency gate so they can come in and have more flowing because of these 78 lots they're going to open up that were supposed to be part of King's Chapel at the beginning, and they moved it over to Hyde Park Hills. I'm sure that if we open that emergency gate up, there's going to be a whole lot more people than those 78 people. So I'm still really unclear why we're moving the gate and even talking about moving the gate again and opening up an emergency exit so that they can come through onto Majestic Meadows Drive. I'm unclear of why you want to move it, and are you wanting us to approve opening up the emergency gate?
We don't want to do an emergency gate. We don't
Okay.
we don't want.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
The microphone and get it on the
Thanks,
record.
Christine.
Thanks.
We don't want an emergency gate. We don't want emergency vehicles to have to go through King's Chapel Gate to go up to the 78 lots that are way to the northeast from the original Hyde Park Hill. We want them to just go through one gate. I live, by coincidence, I'm the closest house to the gates in King's Chapel right now. And I can tell you that sometimes they fail when emergency vehicles come through. I run out there and open them up. Usually when I'm halfway there, they get them open. But having an emergency gate is, I don't think it will look well. I think it will devalue house prices, both in King's Chapel and Hyde Park Hill won't even be able to see that. But they are different price points. They're different zoning. There's different county zonings in these three sections. King's Chapel, they're Hyde Park Hill right now, and these 78 lots. It makes sense. Financially, it makes sense because it creates a better subdivision for us to move the gate and have these two subdivisions be completely separated so they don't interact between each other.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was going to say, I still have the stance of what we approved last year, having that emergency gate. And I know in other things that we've approved, if it doesn't work, they can just, kind of go through it. But I still feel like these are two totally different subdivisions, two totally different streets, and that's the way we need to keep it.
That's what we
So-
want to make it. We were kind of, decided at the planning meeting. We really didn't think about this. It all happened that night, and here we are trying to correct something and make it better. So,
Yes, sir.
I remember we spent a lot of time talking about that gate, and I think the intent was to keep the neighborhood separate. Does that change, does this change that?
The gate is being moved 800 feet.
Sorry, you might as well just stay up here for a few minutes.
The gate is being moved approximately 800 feet at a considerable expense to make both subdivisions better. If someone says, well, they can go through the crash gate. If they go through the crash gate, they would be in Kings Chapel. Now, not having a crash gate, but having a normal gate, if they went through it or crashed through it, or if it was open for some reason, they could come into Kings Chapel. We want to separate that.
Okay.
So we feel the best thing is to move it up 800 feet.
But it doesn't connect the neighborhoods.
No.
Okay. The other issue I remember we talked about was the
It
fire chief.
disconnects the other neighborhoods.
Okay. The fire chief wanted certain access. Do we still accomplish what the
Yes.
fire chief wanted?
Yes, I've talked with Chief Hessler. When he comes in, he can either go straight through the moved gate, or he can come in and turn to the north and go through the High Park Hill gate. The way it is now, he would have to go through the existing Kings Chapel gate that we want to move, and then turn and go through another gate within a few hundred feet. So he'd have to go through two gates. So it would significantly slow him down. So this solves that issue too.
Okay. So I guess my question, maybe to council even, is if it still meets those, what is our authority or ability to restrict the location of this gate?
I guess I don't understand the question. I mean, your authority is to approve the revised concept plan, and if you find that it meets the standards, that's one thing, and if you find that it doesn't because you have some concerns, that's a different position.
Okay.
But that's another reason why the staff was recommending that we defer tonight, so you all could hear the comments, because this was a very long discussion last time, and you arrived at a very detailed decision, and so staff thought it best that you all heard from the developer of what his intent was, and from the property owners, instead of taking action tonight on the fly, you have that information to study on for a month.
I think everybody sees that last time the room was full. This time we've told everybody what was going on. The HOA board members talked to their neighbors and talked to other people, and Mr. Rust, he stopped on the street a lot, and we've had meetings with people so they all understand what's going on. The two comments here tonight, I think they're still a little misinformed about traffic flows and traffic patterns.
I have a question, Sandy.
High Park Hill will not be able to come into Kings Chapel.
So you're wanting to move the gate, you want to move it up 800 feet, and where we approve the emergency gate, you want that to be basically another entrance into High Park Hills, so they
Yes.
can come from High Park Hills out onto Majestic Meadows, out to 96, and who maintains all that?
Well,
High Park Hills residents or Kings Chapel residents?
we feel that the HOA of the new 78 lots, not the 157 that's over there, but they would share the maintenance of that road down to Highway 96, along with Kings Chapel residents. So it would benefit both subdivisions.
What about all the other residents of High Park Hills using that entrance? Would
They
they
won't
not
be able to get over there.
Okay.
They won't be able to get over there because we have another gate, and they won't be given the codes to the 78 lots. The 157 people that live in High Park Hill will not have access to that back differently zoned property.
Yeah, that's in the next
I
item,
remember
is
now.
the secondary separation of adding the two gates.
Right, I remember.
One for the entrance coming off of Majestic Meadows, and then one between those two sections of the High Park Hill. Yes, sir.
Debbie, do you do my mic? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, and that is that the 78 lots that we're talking about, those are in High Park Hill.
Yes.
Those are not in Kings Chapel, because Kings Chapel is not able to expand based on how the zoning ordinance reads. So those are in High Park Hill. And so they need to be accessed through High Park Hill.
They can be.
So one of staff's main concerns is that these are two distinct, separate subdivisions, and I'm talking about Kings Chapel, as it is now, and High Park Hill, including the additional 78 lots. And the emergency gate did that, of course. This configuration could potentially also do that, but, you know, as Aaron pointed out in his remarks, we're not yet sure how that cross, travel is designed to work, or how it could work in the future if codes are given. So that's, I just wanted to make it clear kind of where how we're looking at this, just to get you oriented in that direction. Thank you.
Any other, yes, Mr. Crohan?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out if the 78 lots are on High Park Hill, why do you need gate between the two subdivisions?
They're different price point homes, for one.
No, I'm talking about for a traffic situation. We're talking about in emergency situations. The price, we're not concerned with.
Well, if I understand your question, you're asking, why do we need that gate over there?
What I'm saying is if the 78 lots are in High Park Hills.
Correct.
Okay, the traffic should be in that subdivision. Why does it have to have between Kings Chapel and that, why do they have to be connected?
If you look at the existing High Park Hill, it has two entrances onto Highway 96, but once you get in there, it's very congested. We felt by having this, and it's pretty much built out, these 78 homes, by having that second entrance, reduces construction traffic for 2 or 3 years. When you look at those congested houses, emergency vehicles going up through there, it would take a lot longer to get through there than to just go up Majestic Meadows and go into High Park Hill at a more northeasternly location to get into those 78 lots.
So the only reason you need it is for emergency vehicles. If it wasn't for the emergency vehicles, you wouldn't be here asking us for that.
Well, it's like, another reason is gates fail, even permanent gates and emergency gates. If that emergency gate failed, people would be coming right down into Kings Chapel. We wanted to avoid High Park Hill from coming through any kind of gate and being right in Kings Chapel. That's why we're moving the gate a little 800 feet to the east. And then again, we're taking off the keypad for that gate, so that, we talked with the homeowners a lot, and they said, well, if people can get codes, they can come through there. So we said, we'll just take the codes off. So I either have to have a barcode or a garage door opener to get through that gate. That way, if someone in High Park Hill gets a code, they'll have to come through the main entrance where we have cameras and everything else. And they have to punch the code in so we know who's coming in. Our gate system up there allows for, if they use a code, then we know who gave that code out. Back at that emergency gate, or back at the other gate, we don't know. If they use a code, we don't know who comes in.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I may be a little thick on this, but I'm still confused why you're having two subdivisions brought together. Those gates are bringing any way you look at it, the gates are bringing the two subdivisions together. If the 78 lots are on the other subdivision, that's where they should be, and you shouldn't need a gate between the two subdivisions.
We feel it's better economically for the people that buy those 78 lots. It's to separate the subdivisions.
Well,
Right now, they're not.
I can see that point, but the point that I can't see is for the new people that are gonna have these 78 homes, they're telling the people who already bought homes and already established that they're gonna have to change rules for them. And I don't see that's possible.
I think, sir, and people, the people who have already bought in High Park Hill have their own regulations. We're not changing the rules for them. The people in these 78 lots can go through High Park Hill if they wish, or they could go up the other way if they wish. It goes to connection points.
Change the Kings Chapel.
No comments.
Okay, we'll have to agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
Any further questions?
I just have one more, sorry. I kind of concur with Don. I feel like, I hear what you're saying, but I still feel like there's somehow connecting. High Park Hills needs to have they have their own entrance, they have it access to Highway 96. We had a lot of discussion last fall about the emergency gate. We got that figured out, all the aesthetics of it, so it'll look really nice. And they are two totally different subdivisions at two totally different price points. And I concur that even though it kind of seems like it's not, but it's still kind of bringing them together. Now they're going to have to pay for the usage of the Majestic Meadows Drive, pay for the the maintenance of it. You were just saying that 78 people will have to help pay for the maintenance of.
Right.
Right. I just feel like they need to be separate, and we need to support what we approved last fall. That's all I want to say about it.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am, Jessica.
Question for staff. It's been established, I believe, in our last meeting that High Park Hill has those two entrances onto 96. So they don't need this entrance from Florin onto Majestic Meadows, right? The subdivision can stand alone without that.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any further questions? Yes, please.
I'm still a little confused by the comments. Does this connect or disconnect the neighborhood?
They disconnect the two subdivisions.
Okay. How is it connected? The comments I'm hearing about it being connected, somebody help me understand that.
They're using the same road. This belongs to Kings Chapel. That's their entrance in and out of their subdivision.
And Mr. Chairman, I think it might be clear if we went to the next one, you can see kind of what they're proposing within High Park Hill to understand. When he's saying it will disconnect, it will not just disconnect High Park Hill and Kings Chapel. It will disconnect the new 70-some lots from the existing lots in High Park Hill. He's got another gate within the next concept plan. So it might make things a little clearer.
Who advances those slides? You have to.
What's that? I'm
Can
sorry.
you advance to
So what you're saying is that
32?
basically the
This is
78 lots will
32.
stand alone and their entrance will be onto Majestic. So you're
And-
kind of
and-
disconnecting.
Let's look.
So if I can, so here on the screen, this is item 32. It's going, Aaron, do you have it colored
Yeah,
up for us?
okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, so what you see is in the pinkish color, that is Florin Drive as it extends into Kings Chapel. You can see Majestic Meadows Drive just where it ends. If you look really closely at it and color it, but that's the connection that is on the previous one. So let me go back here. So right where the green bubble is, that's the connection where it connects to that color, and then Majestic Meadows Drive. Those where the two connect together.
Yep. And so basically, at the end of the pink on Majestic is where a gate for Kings Chapel is going to be, and to the left where the pink is, that is going to be the second gate into Hyde Park. Now, continue further to the left to the far edge of the pink, and there's a second gate at that point separating the two sides of Hyde Park.
Yes, sir.
So these 78 lots, he is isolating with gates between going west or east, out of, when you leave your house in the 78 lots, you can go
So the
west.
78 lots will have 2 gates.
That's
So it's like
correct.
its own little gated community,
Yes.
and he wants the gate to go out onto Majestic, so they can have their own little entranceway.
That is
More or
one,
less.
that is one option, and the other option is to go through Hyde Park Hill.
Okay.
Yep. So, but let's backtrack to item 32. Any further discussion, or sorry, item 31, any further discussion? Right. So, staff recommendation as written is deferral. Do I have a motion
I
on
make a
that?
motion to defer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Moving on to item 32, concept plan review for High Park Hill subdivision revised containing 235 lots on 356 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that we can orient ourselves again, this is Murfreesboro Road. Here in the pink, as I showed you earlier, that is Florin Drive. And then this is Majestic Meadows Drive in Kings Chapel. So there was a revised concept plan approved in September of last year. That revision proposed 2 connections to the adjoining Kings Chapel development. Staff concluded that there should not be 2 connections between the 2 developments and recommended that a single gated connection restricted to vehicles and utility service providers only. And that is here in the green, I'm sorry, that showed up on the little, excuse me, at the end of Florin Drive. And that was added as a condition of approval. The applicant is requesting a approval of a revised concept plan in order to, number 1, place a vehicular vehicle entry gate at Florin Drive near the border of Kings Chapel, which has come up on your screen. It's a purplish color over the green. And then add a second internal vehicular gate for Kings Chapel, which has also come up on your screen as well. The applicants, as with the Kings Chapel, are unclear in terms of the connectivity between the 2 developments, and staff recommends that you hold the public hearing and then defer action on this until the May 2024 meeting so that we can ensure the Planning Commission's previous intent is reflected in this proposal.
Thank you. Any other comments from staff? Mr. Powell, you need to say anything?
Yes, there's one other change. In September of last year. I keep forgetting. In September of last year, there, you see a cul-de-sac. That was going down to Majestic Meadows Drive too, and we changed that to a cul-de-sac, so there's no connection there. So that's one of the reasons was here, and the other reason was the gate relocation of Kings Chapel and High Park Hill.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from Planning Commission? Oh, sorry. Yeah. There was nobody that signed up for item 32, so,
I don't think I put an item outside my name. I just thought I was signing up to speak on both of them.
the sheets were fairly clear that at the top it was for item 31.
That was the only thing voted and signed.
That's not correct. I had all of these there.
I just thought it was the staff. I didn't know it was different.
I mean, we'll consider your comments from previous, so,
I'd just like to add one thing.
at this point, I can't take it, unfortunately. Thank you. So, the public hearing is open and closed. At this time, are there any questions from Planning Commission staff? Yes.
Maybe this is procedural. So we are deferring to hold a public comment to make a decision in May. What is it that we're missing?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, y'all wanted to hold the public meeting since it was advertised, fully understand the intent of the changes from the developer, and y'all will further discuss this item over the next month before May, right?
That is correct, yes, sir.
and potentially bring back a revised or modified, or it may be this exact plan that comes back.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Theoretically, of course, I know the 70-something lots, 79 lots, that they'll be able to, if you put a gate on Majestic, they'll come out. But theoretically, the rest of High Point could also come through the first gate to the second, get to Majestic, and come out that way also, could they?
No, sir. The rest, you mean the lots that are already built, the homes that are already built?
In Hyde Park, yeah.
No, they won't be given access to the 78 homes.
So the
78 lots.
the ones on the far left side here
Oh,
of
okay.
Hyde Park will just go straight down to 96. That gate between those and the
At
new
the far side
78
of the
lots. Yes, that left side gate
Is
will
not
restrict
accessible.
access for that that's what he was saying.
Oh.
Yep. Any further questions on item 32? Yes, sir, Mr. Crane.
Chairman, this is rather confusing. We keep talking about connectivity and connecting, and we say they're separate. I think my personal belief is I'd like to make a motion to defer this, and let's clear this up, whether we're talking connecting through gate systems or not, and come back to it in May with a positive answer on this.
Okay. As of right now, it is written to be deferred, so.
Yes, so I'm asking to go with staff's recommendation.
Any other questions before I call for a motion?
Well, that was a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
To defer it.
All right. So, do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion for deferral. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 33, non-residential site plan. Site plan review for Triune Sewer Facility, non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system on 77.45 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that we can orient ourselves, this is the property here outlined, that has been outlined. This is Murfreesboro Road with Murfreesboro to the east and then Franklin to the west. It is bordered by Haley Road on the west, and a small portion is bordered by Interstate 840 to roughly the southeast. This is the treatment system here that's located approximately in the center of the property. This is our storage pond. These are our primary disposal areas, and then these are our backup areas for the system itself. Property is approximately 149.6 acres. 77.5 acres will be used for the wastewater system. System's located in the interior of the site, as you can see labeled in red. In addition to the adjoining development that we will review next, system will serve a portion of Triune. It will be a regional system for that. The CCN has been issued. The draft state operating permit has also been issued, and the DDR and the DSIR have been reviewed by the county's wastewater consultant. Ordinance standards have been met with regards to all of the setbacks and all other criteria, including the natural resource protection standards. And staff does recommend approval with the standard conditions for non-traditional wastewater systems outlined in the staff report, including the posting of a performance bond for the treatment and disposal system, and as this will be a regional system, providing evidence of executed easements for the system components to serve any residential or non-residential uses, and then the posting of performance bonds for the collection systems for each use that utilize the system.
Thank you. Any questions from? Yes.
About it in the next item, but Since you have this map up, exactly where's the residential that we're going to talk about in the next item? Where's it going to
So-
kind of be on here?
I'm sorry. So if you look at the screen, if you see the label storage pond, it's approximately up in that area there is where the residential development will be. It's a nine lots.
Any further questions? Do I have a motion?
I have to say that I actually like this because being on this trying special area, this is something that we've talked about, the vision out there to have more than just septic tanks. So, I was glad to see this come up and that it can help the Triune area to become what the vision is of the Triune special area. So,
Cool. Good deal. Thank you. Any further questions, or do I have a motion on item 33?
Motion.
second it.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Concept plan, item 34, concept plan review for Haley Ridge subdivision containing 9 lots on 46.06 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing we're going to look at, this is an aerial view. I'm hoping it kicks in. That will zoom into the property. So this does show the property for Haley Ridge as well as the wastewater treatment system we just looked at. So this is the concept plan review for Haley Ridge subdivision. The property here is outlined in the blue in order to orient ourselves. This is Haley Road, and then Murfreesboro Road is to the north. And then we have State Route 840 that it borders as well. Right here is the Triune Sewer Facility that we just looked at, Ms. Baldry, item 33 for you. All right, so the natural resource protection standard. So there are woodlands that are here in the green. 15% of the site is covered in tree canopy, and 98% of the existing tree canopy will remain undisturbed. There's a stream and its associated waterway natural area that's also up here in the blue. Site does contain moderate and very steep slopes, and then 77% of the site will remain in open space. All right, so the property itself totals 149.6 acres. 46.06 acres will be utilized for this development. It's a 9-lot conservation subdivision, which equates to 0.20 dwelling units per acre. The lots range in size between 0.83 acres and 1.69 acres. Traffic study was not required because of the number of lots. Waters, that should say Nolensville College Grove Utility District, not City of, my apologies. Wastewater is served by the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, that's item number 33. And so long as item number 33 was approved, staff does recommend approval with all the standard conditions for concept plans outlined in the staff report, which must be addressed at future stages of development.
Thank you. Any questions on item 34? Do I have a motion? Yes, sir.
I'd just like to mention that several people in this area have mentioned to me, and I know it can't be cured on this one, but that's State Road that this all drops into, and there seems to be quite a problem out there traffic-wise on the State Road, and it's just a point of information.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
With that, I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Preliminary plats, revised item 35, preliminary plat review for Sawyer's Creek containing 8 lots on 40.07 acres located off Coleman Road in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will first note that this is a revised report. And continue on to orient ourselves, as you can see in the red at the top of the screen would be Coleman Road, which the subdivision is located on. The property is approximately 40 acres in size. It will be a conservation subdivision totaling 8 lots. The roads will be privately maintained, and the developer agreed to install a right turn deceleration lane, which can be seen at the top of the screen under the red and brown. Moving on, the natural resource protections have been met. You can see a waterway natural area there in blue on the top of the screen as well. Continuing, water will be provided by HB and TS Utility District, and wastewater will be handled via on-site septic. And lastly, staff recommends approval with standard conditions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions? Do I have a motion on item 35? Second? Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Item 36 was withdrawn. Item 37, preliminary plat review for High Park Hill Phase 5 containing 47 lots on 59.86 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting deferral until the June 2024 meeting.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion? Second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to other business, item 38, recommendation regarding a resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a grant contract with United States Department of Transportation for funding the development of the SS4A Williamson County Roadway and Multimodal Action Plan and appropriating the 23-24 county general budget by $500,000. Revenues to come from existing budgeting funds and federal grant funds. Staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, as you are very, very well aware, traffic issues and roadway safety are really important topics in Williamson County as a whole. You all hear that at the meetings, and that's the case at County Commission as well. So the county applied for and was granted a $400,000 award from the federal DOT to create a safety action plan for all of Williamson County. And that action plan would identify the locations that receive the most and the worst accidents. It will also identify either projects or other strategies to help address those safety needs. So that's kind of a big deal. And then supplementally, there are also funds within this grant to help develop a Greenways master plan, which is something that the county is wishing to pursue. So this is a big deal for the county, these funds. And even more importantly, perhaps, than the plans themselves, which are important, is the fact that once the plans are adopted, then the county will become eligible for implementation grants. There are billions of dollars that are available for implementation of these types of grants. And so just having these plans in place will position the county to be able to receive millions of dollars of grants to help implement the objectives of the plan. So there is a $100,000 county match, and as is typical when the county commission hears resolutions, they take it to various boards and committees for recommendation. The Highway Commission has recently voted to recommend this. We're asking that you all recommend this to the County Commission.
Thank you. Any questions?
What was SEP's recommendation?
Quick question. When it says that it's 500,000 revenues coming from budgeted funds and federal grant, it's clear it's 100,000 coming from the county, right?
That is correct.
400 from the federal grant.
That is correct.
I believe I had a second there. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Do I have any other business?
Sure.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you.
That's a wrap.